Hey, this is Jeff Boyle with Networking Star, and today we're doing another free speech extravaganza, right, Brian?
Yes.
Do you consider it an extravaganza?
Yes. No, it's great.
Well, one of the things that we've been going through is we've been trying to determine what the government is doing trying to regulate AI. Now, I'm a huge advocate of AI. We have built an entire platform that helps businesses by using templates, and then it connects directly to OpenAI. And OpenAI is the engine that also powers engines like ChatGPT. And so we've been going through and asking it some different questions and going through some different possible issues that really we're facing with AI. And Brian, you've been doing the study of this. So why is it the government is trying to get into the business of AI?
Well, I mean that because it's government. I mean, so so every
Because they're
week
trying
we
to get
every week
involved
we
with
talk.
anything. I guess that's the thing. They can't just
Well,
let anybody handle themselves. They've got to
no,
govern it.
no, they can't. And so like every week we talk for a few days. What are we going to talk about this week? And so I go down these rabbit holes. I have a combination of being able to read fast and insomnia. So I go down these research holes, but when I do, it just provides a lot more uncertainty than it really does answers. So, you know, just Googling, like the Gen Xer that I am, um, I found like some tutorials on AI, and then I found the White House. I don't know if it's a mandate. I mean, can you pull that up? The White House wrote a 56-page paper on their AI strategy that was released earlier this year, which brought up a lot of concerns for me. Just because, with the Twitter files and all that, so the federal government, the Justice Department, had people go into Twitter and kind of drive their algorithm. And so this paper that comes up gave me a ton of questions. I'm not saying I have the answers, and I'm not, is it a conspiracy theory? I don't know. It's just a question. Like, who's in charge of this? What is the role of the government in it? And based on the interplay between private parties and the government, what are they going to do? Like, and what are they going to do? It means, where do they put the money? And, who gets chosen for who gets some of this federal money in the artificial intelligence research and development strategic plan? Who is that?
Well, and I think that's kind of the issue as we start to go through this. So they're allocating $1.8 billion
So they
to
say.
towards trying to regulate. This is the beginning of what they want to do, to try to regulate AI. And it's been funny to me to watch how they're trying to regulate this really powerful tool for small business owners. And so right now you're seeing all of these different monies going towards big tech and big corporations, and 60% of the United States economy is small business, and nothing right now is going towards small
Nothing.
business. And all of a sudden we have this really cool tool. And and I've now completely switched my business into teaching people how to use AI and how powerful it can be when you don't have a big budget. And then all of a sudden you start to see them talk about all the dangers of AI and how they've got to work
Yeah,
together.
you got to keep us safe and all that. I mean, it's like,
And
done
so,
a bang up job the past 3 years keeping us safe, guys. I mean, this is
well,
great.
I
So
hope they didn't spend $1.8 billion on this paper, this 56 page.
I think they spent $1.8 billion doing this paper. I mean, look at the people who are involved with it. Have you ever heard of any of these people? I have
Now,
literally never
we
heard of
we
any of
did
these
look
people.
up Arati Praghakar, and she does seem qualified. And we asked AI to see if she's qualified, and AI quickly told us how qualified she was. So
Very, very assertively, yes.
so let me be clear. When it comes to politics, one of the things that we're seeing is AI, and my system plugs directly into some of the biggest AI engines in the world, and then helps me with a lot of business content with social media. It helps me to be able to analyze different tones and styles to help business people put out their content in a really impressive way. And this is,
Mm-hmm.
and we asked, what makes Arati Praghakar qualified
It's like that scene from Office Space for the
I'm not trying.
consulting
I'm
camp.
truly trying to
I
say
know, I get it.
to be in charge of USA AI policy, and it goes through, and it was pretty quick to spit it out.
Boom, resume. Like
Um,
literally, it looks like a resume.
it does.
Like
It
for a
looks
job
as
interview.
if all these AI engines that feed into mine, which are so helpful for business, it does seem pretty quick to defend them.
Boom.
And but as you go back to this, one of the things that you say is working together with the
Yes,
7
mhm.
AI companies. Seems to me that part of the condition for probably federal funding is towing the party line, and we're going to show that in just a second here.
Well, yeah, I mean, but that, so let's talk about that. You're making an assertion and somebody's going to go conspiracy theory, right?
You betcha.
Um, okay, so in high school, biology, was that junior year? I think it was junior year. We learned the scientific method, right? And so the scientific method is you have a question, like an apple falls out of the tree and hits you on the head. Why did it do that? And then you start looking at it, you develop questions, gather some data. So like I think there's a huge like
Conspiracy theory is
problem.
part of the scientific method, is to
Yes, it is.
question
Like
the
because you
status
have a
quo.
question, you form a hypothesis, you gather data, you revisit the hypothesis. So like a conspiracy theory literally drives every technological development in mankind since we discovered fire, really. I mean,
Right.
if you think about it, so they're not conspiracy theories, hypotheses, maybe.
They are questioning results, and there's really nothing with this. And there's nothing, there's no problem with questioning. And we've never, you know, I guess we grew up in a household where it was okay to question. It was okay
Well, in a
to form
culture
your own
too,
opinion.
like questions were encouraged, even dumb ones.
Yeah.
And,
And that's not the case anymore. So,
no, don't ask questions. That's
$1.8 billion
problematic.
dollars, how much of it went to these big companies? And we looked her up, and we found this quote: President Biden has been clear that companies have a fundamental responsibility
Wait a
to
minute, you
ensure their
said President
products.
Biden was clear? Anyway, keep going.
president biden President Biden's writers were clear that we have
Very
a
clear.
fundamental responsibility to ensure their products are safe before they're released to the public, and the innovation must not come at
So
the
who is
expense of
their
people's rights and
products? Like,
safety.
who are they?
Well, the beautiful part, I guess, about being a libertarian is that you really, go ahead and let people live their life the way that they want to. And as a business person, I truly believe that one of the best ways to get beat up about your product is to put it in the marketplace. And if it doesn't
Agreed.
serve a distinct purpose, then it will lose. So as we took that where it looked like
Hold on, Jeff. So let me ask you a question. Based on President Biden's clear
clear.
directive
Yeah.
that anybody who even delves in AI must pass some kind of government scrutiny. So does that mean that with your money after tax, have developed Bimoto? Does that mean they're going to regulate you?
Well, they've done a really good job, because Bimoto, what's unique about Bimoto is we use a lot of templates to be able to interpret and quickly put out content that the big sites, it's pretty difficult to communicate with the big sites for most people. So my site just plugs into a lot of these other powerful engines. So they're already
Understood.
regulating me by regulating or attempting to regulate the other companies. But that's the problem. The
Like
problem
where
lies
does
in
the regulation stop? Does it go just the major ones and then, brilliant entrepreneurs like yourself see, hey, this is cool. It can benefit some people in a meaningful way, with their business or whatever. Does the regulation dip way down into you as a really one man show that's funded his own business
Well,
and
and so,
software development?
I use it a lot to be able to interpret tones, brand voices, and to be able to create content in my tone and style. So as a business owner, there's a tremendous amount of cost to be able to market my business, to be able to compete with the big companies. And what's really disconcerting about this ridiculous 56-page, incredibly difficult content to read that was written by
Look at the writing team.
Laurie Lacasio, Sutherman Ponchakathan, and Geraldine. I'm trying to say these.
I'm not making fun of their names. Like our names are complicated too, and it's
But
fine.
the
I mean,
thing is
look at this writing
Gil.
team.
All right,
Who are these
Gil
people?
Gil has done a great job on here,
Gil,
but but
Steve Lee, great guy. I mean,
nobody
Department
knows
of
who these people
Energy,
are.
NSF,
But as you go through this,
State
so
Department.
what they're
Look at this:
basically saying
State
is
Department,
it's
Department of
1.8.
Homeland Security, NASA. I mean,
They look like incredibly intelligent people, but the issue as you go through this, for example, one of the things that we found in there was this, is that recently the Biden admin came out in 2022 with this AI Bill of Rights. Oh, for heaven's sakes. So now they're creating a new Bill of Rights.
yeah, they want to get rid of the original Bill of Rights and make new ones. I don't know. I mean,
But here's what it comes down to, which consists of 5 key principles. That's what this
okay, good,
big
good.
document written by Nikia Butler. That was a good one. I said that.
1,000 points of light.
But which consists of 5 key principles for regulating the technology: safe and effective systems. Okay.
Yeah, sounds great. I want
Algorithmic
to.
discrimination protections. So now they're going to try to the way the AI is supposed to do is it goes out and gets trillions of bytes of information and then analyzes it. So now what they're going to do is they're going to try to make it so it doesn't discriminate. And by making it not discriminate.
Wait. So you're saying that an artificial intelligence can be racist?
But that's what and trying not to be racist, they're going to be racist and putting all of these algorithmic discrimination protections. What does that even mean? Well, we did ask it what it means, but data privacy, notice,
Great
explanation, and notice an explanation and human alternatives. And my question to it is, what the heck does this mean? So they gave us the answer. Let's go with this algorithmic discrimination protections. This is beautiful.
Sounds good on its
Principle aims
face.
to address concerns regarding bias and discrimination stemming from the use of AI algorithms. It emphasized the need for AI systems to be fair and unbiased. Oh my goodness.
Okay, let me ask you this. So last week we had a little bit on, the competitive nature of different countries and their investment into AI. Do you think that
China,
Russia is built Russia? I mean, and in saying this, I'm talking about the nation, not the ethnicity, right? Like, so the nation of China, are they going to build algorithmic protections against discrimination? I doubt it.
Well, as a self-proclaimed now expert in prompt engineering, what's prompt engineering? It's talking to AI. I've gotten to the point where I can truly get it to.
I mean, you write a prompt in your application,
and I call it on mine an instruction. I can give it an instruction on mine, and I use a lot of things called templates to really be able to help people create content very professionally, very quickly in their own tone and style. And so this prompt engineering is something that I've become very skilled at, and I can tell you that without skilled input, without telling it what to do, it's not going to give you skilled output. It's going to give you a lot of just empty answers. And the thing is that you can make AI biased simply by asking the wrong question. You can get the bias that you want, but the problem that we're having now is that everybody mistrusts the media. Everybody mistrusts the other person's party, and it's a result of really giving a confirmation bias, or simply just putting in the wrong question so you get the wrong output. So this right here, we decided to see how good it was, because
this next question is actually funny. All right, go.
The Biden admin has been clear that companies have a fundamental responsibility to ensure safe products are safe before they're released to the public. So I asked it, so to make it safe, secure, and trustworthy. So I said, spending $1.8 billion to research AI, yet we still don't know how safe COVID vaccines are. And I got them. And there's all kinds of different whatever. It spit it out fast. It really.
Oh yeah, it got really, like, AI is now defensive.
AI is defensive because the engines that mine, and for business, it's, this has been a game changer for me. But it's really interesting to see that their attempt to make it not bias seems like a pretty biased answer.
Well, no. So when you just put the word COVID in, it completely didn't even talk about AI, and it went straight to defending the COVID policies that we've all gone through the past 3
It did,
years. Or
and the
it
way
went
that AI
straight there.
did
It almost just blinked up, almost like it was pre-programmed and defensive about that question.
and once again, mine just goes to these big engines, a number of big engines, and then it brings the content back. And so it's just a really powerful way to interact with trillions of bytes of information. But it didn't even give it a chance, really. And I asked it an open-ended question. I could manipulate it to giving it the question I wanted. So I just left it very open. And so yes, it talked about AI. We have a responsibility to manage the potential risk associated with its deployment. But as it related to COVID, it said they are rigorously tested and monitored before they are approved for public usage. Come on.
Well, that's not true.
It typically takes, how long does it typically take for the FDA to, give a, approval for something?
Well, it takes longer than the week they tested COVID vaccine. I mean, I don't know. How long did they test them? A month, two, or something like that? I mean, I would
So
think
here's
it
what it says
takes
right
long.
here. The clinical trial phase can take years to complete.
Yeah.
However, once the research has shown that the drug is safe and useful, the FDA typically reviews and either approves or denies the application for a new drug within 6 months. So there's no question that it didn't take years to do this.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about drugs and vaccines. I'm not a scientist, not claiming to be, but I mean, drugs versus vaccines. Vaccines would seem to be more scary in the sense that a vaccine, you're actually injecting the disease into you.
Well, and
But
right here, this seemed like a very biased answer. The speed at which COVID vaccines were developed was a result of unprecedented global cooperation, resource mobilization, and the urgency of the pandemic. Now, I can appreciate this. The urgency of the pandemic and the
yeah, it
accelerated
was scary
timeline did
at
not
first.
compromise safety protocols. But what's really great about this is I
Are you
asked it,
sure?
that's the problem. Are you sure?
No.
And we know that there's been different. I'm not going to get into speculation on some of this, but it's important. It's important to note that research and development efforts are not exclusive to one area, but span across various domains. So all of a sudden, now it started giving me a really more general answer. But
Well, it's starting to sound like the White House press briefing,
this
where
sounds like a White House press briefing.
it sounds like a spin to me. Like, so AI is being on certain topics, clearly being not clearly. This is a hypothesis, not a conspiracy theory. My hypothesis is that the federal government is already talking to the people who are building these engines.
Well, they
or
tell
whatever.
us they're doing that here. They tell us they are working with the seven, and that's where my engine comes from, is from these big engines that power so many different platforms. But as it relates to certain things that they want to disseminate, you have to really know how to talk to it, because if you just put it in general terms, and that's what most people do, what's the chocolate cake recipe, or something like that,
Right.
that's really general, it will spit out general information. And it does appear that this is very biased in what the big engines are now spitting out, unless you get into very specific prompt engineering.
Well, so the point I want to make is, why would the big companies toe the line with what this committee or whatever it is? Why would they do it? And the reason is because there's billions. I think 1.8 is probably low, but I mean, there's billions of dollars there for the taking that they can use to drive their business plan. And so anytime you mix policy with the ability to fund the private sector will do so because it's a guaranteed revenue stream once you get that contract. And so just the nature of how this process works is problematic. And I mean, what's the payroll of this one paper?
Well, and that's the problem. A 56-page document probably cost well over $1 million to write.
Well, and you're just talking about the people who have named credit here. So if you go up there, just go up to the writing team, look at all the different departments that are listed there in the United States government.
Well, these are all different things. So all different.
So every one of these departments and agencies had to vet this through their own lens on, what it should say. And so, you're talking, I don't know how many tens of thousands of man hours to come up with this 56-page paper.
Yeah.
That essentially, if you read it like I did, it becomes meaningless after a period of time.
Well, develop effective methods for human AI collaboration. Let me tell you an effective method for human
Bimoto.
AI. Yeah, Bimoto, where I go out and I show business
Serious.
people how to effectively communicate with their clients. I'll tell you how you do it. You put into, there's spectacular different image creators that you can put in, and instantly you can output spectacular images that you can use in your business. The ability to communicate with it, writing is one of the most difficult things to do, but writing
It's quite hard, yeah.
concisely and compelling. I'll tell you the best way to be able to create this is not to pay some guy from NASA or someone from the Biden administration to tell me how it is
Or
that I
Google
do it.
or Amazon or
Even
whatever.
worse, for example, before we recorded this, Apple removed a very conservative person's entire year's worth of podcasts because they were concerned that this guy was concerned about certain things with Hunter Biden's laptop. I mean, was it probably quite incendiary? Yeah, I don't listen to him anymore. He's too
Probably.
extreme for me. He's quite extreme. But I'm like,
Yeah.
what gives the government now the right to start funding these giant guys to be able to spit out, unless you know how to do this prompt engineering, what gives them the right to now start really making sure that the news that they're pushing anyways is pushed on us through AI as well?
So I'll give you an analogy, and this is the problem. Not like 98. I have no stats to back this up, but the vast majority of people that work for the government are probably pretty good people. They probably have a family or a dog, or they got a personal life, and they're not out to like light us on fire or anything. But it's sort of like, I remember when I went to my 20th high school reunion. Like, there were a bunch of guys that were like good athletes in shape, and at the 20th year reunion, they were like 310 pounds. Like, and
A little past their
after
prime.
20 years not seeing somebody, you're like, how the hell did that happen, dude? It's like one Twinkie at a time. And so, like, for 100, since before the world wars, we've just slowly let ourselves get out of shape as a country.
Yeah.
And it's to the point now where I hope we haven't given up, because we can retrieve this thing, but we certainly have to start doing the little steps of maybe walking around the block, getting back in shape little by little by little, because we are really fat and out of shape as a country if we're producing this stuff. And what are we doing?
Well, I think your point also is that what good, these out of shape athletes have no place in then going out and trying to create policy for those of us who are out here actually doing it. And I remember the business law professor at law school that said, I couldn't take entrepreneurs. I had to get out of practice. You guys were scaring the heck out of me. Well, that's the kind of person that I want developing policies for me, a person that's afraid of business.
Yes.
So, you look at it, I just asked it, what is AI? And so when you ask general questions, it can give you general answers. Strong AI refers to a system that possesses a level of intelligence and understanding comparable to that of a human. And I know that's what everybody's worried about is these aliens taking it over. But really what AI is used in business all the time is to analyze vast amounts of data, recognize patterns, and make predictions or take actions on their findings. And do I really want, let's pick a name here from NASA. Let's pick a NASA one. Do I want, how about the USDA? What the heck is the USDA? Do I want Ann Stapleton, who I don't know, telling me how to analyze the vast amount of data that my business produces? And I'm a smaller business, but even this one, systems can operate in various domains, including but not limited to image and speech recognition, natural language processing, autonomous vehicles, and robotics. So the ability to analyze all of this information is so powerful for big businesses, and they've had it for a long time. Now,
Yeah, I mean,
finally,
AI goes back to the 50s. It really
but
does.
finally
Machine
now
learning.
small businesses, us as small businesses, have the ability to analyze vast amounts of data for very low costs, and we can do it very quickly. Do I want Aaron Manis and Nikuj Oza and Richard Palladimo?
I mean, this list looks made up to me. I mean, honestly.
I think what they did is how long did it take them to make this $1.8 billion document? And what are they
Well,
doing?
but is the 1.8, is this part of that 1.8, or did the 1.8 go to just producing this
I sure hope that
document? No, I encourage you to file a FOIA request. Wait 4 years to get that back to figure out how this thing was produced. And so the question I have to you, Jeff, is as the small guy that is definitely taking advantage of what these big 7 companies are doing with AI, the question comes is, do small business people get the full picture of what these engines produce? Or is there a 2-tier thing which gives the gigantic companies the advantage they've always had?
Well, I can tell you that the government, government has to be involved in business in some way or the other, because even as a capitalist, it pains me to watch a mountain be raped and pillaged of
Absolutely.
because
Like clear cutting.
I'm an outdoorsman. I love being outdoors. So I believe that there has to be something to stop just this rampant misuse of
Yeah, you
public
can't
land.
dump nuclear waste into the Ohio
You
River type
cannot.
stuff. I mean, you cannot do
And you and I
that.
have both lived in South America and spent a lot of time there, and you can see what happens when there's not some regulations to be able to do it. But when you have in this very valuable engine that I have that creates very sophisticated sales prompts just by putting in, I made up this product the other day called Body Fuel, and I just wanted to see what it would do. I was able to do an entire campaign on everything from the business model to how to work with customers, how to create a logo, how to
Very
do
helpful.
all of that in minutes for me. And it enables me just with this, I'll put it in here, Body Fuel, natural energy, for tired old dudes. And I'm going to
Like
put it
me.
in the tone and style of Dwayne Johnson.
All
So
right.
it's going to create an entire sales template for me and an entire campaign based upon Dwayne Johnson's style, which is very powerful for tired old dudes, right? And so
Very much so,
the
yeah.
the last thing that I want, the last thing in the world I want is for some way or another businesses now to start to be, these big AI companies to start and get to bed with with a with a belief contrary to mine. I'm a conservative capitalist, a very conservative capitalist. The last thing in the world I want is, just like it scared me to death when I was in law school with some liberals who wanted to force me on who I had to hire and how I had to do it and how I had to run my
Right.
business. What liberals don't understand is I will hire anybody of any ethnic, of any sexual orientation.
Yeah, if they help you accomplish your goals,
Exactly.
it doesn't matter.
And as long as they're not going to get in the way with this, basically with my made up body fuel, is really cool. Let's get down to the nitty gritty, because you deserve to know what body fuel is for real. First off, it's packed with a powerful blend of vitamins and minerals and antioxidants that'll have you feeling refreshed and revitalized. I don't know if anybody's ever
That's
tried
pretty
to.
good. Like, so let me ask you this. So everybody goes, "Oh, great. Now good marketers are going to be put out
Yeah,
of business."
if they don't,
Okay,
I was going to go out
I
of
agree.
business if I didn't.
I'm
If I
just
didn't do
saying
this.
though, would you just type in this prompt and just cut and paste it and print it and send it out, or would you go through it and say, "I like this, I don't like that"?
Oh no, I always go through and I have to edit it, and I'll make some changes. But the fact of it is, I can make changes how I want to. You're crazy just to take AI just on its face. But for me, it's been a game changer to be able to create vast amounts of quality content in the tone, style, brand, voice of my
Absolutely.
customers. And the idea now of somehow or another having liberal business policies put into my business because these big companies are going to do it scares me to death.
Well, so think of it from these big companies' standpoint. Okay, we know what the government's going to do. Like everybody harps on the government because the government will expand and bloat and ooze all over the place. They've been doing that for thousands of years. But from these big companies' standpoint, they want to make a profit too. So I think the decision they make is, all right, do we serve our consumers and pay the price and go through the struggle of advertising, creating a brand, doing all that stuff? Or do we take these government grants, say for $300 million?
I'd love to have a government grant. I've tried 3 times to get government grants for this, but they don't give them. They don't give them to white Christian dudes,
No.
And so you can criticize me all you want for saying that, but the thing is, they give them to big business, and then they give them not to white Christian guys.
Understood. But I'm saying that's the government standpoint because they can control what happens with these companies by throwing money at them, right? So I'm just saying if you're on the board of, say, Google, where, okay, guys, we got to pick up, we need to get an extra 100 million in revenue this year. Okay, like because our shareholders are getting kind of antsy, and you've got Google paying Super Bowl ads and running campaigns and stuff like that, hoping that I develop more faith in them and adopt a lot of their products. Or a government guy comes in and goes, "Hey, we got 100 million earmarked for this." They're going to go straight for the government money because that's like guaranteed revenue. So can you really blame the companies for taking this?
What needs to happen is I think that us as small business owners, because we still rule, we still do, we outnumber them, but we just can't get together. And the idea with this, I mean, I look at this, you know how hard it would be for me before to come up with a document like this. And now I can massage it constantly with the different templates I use. But like this, well,
it's like having a bunch of marketing interns.
Awesomeness that you crave without artificial junk. And like this buy body fuel today and join the league of unstoppable old dudes who refuse to let age define them. Remember, you're never too old to kick A and take names. Let's do this. I mean, it's quality stuff, and I can do it.
Yeah, it sounds good to me. I'm not kicking a lot of A recently.
So my tired old dudes, time to reclaim your youthful spark, that fire in your belly. It sounds like Dwayne Johnson, and I have that ability to do it quickly.
Well, not when you read it.
Oh, all right.
No, I get your point, but what this can do for the small people that don't have like massive companies that have a whole marketing department that hire 1,500 marketing,
it's impossible
interns.
for a small business owner to
this is what marketing departments do. They throw out bad content, they hone it, it gets better until the person who has to make the decision is comfortable with it.
Yeah.
Unless you're Bud Light. And nobody ran anything by anybody.
Unless you're Bud Light, they completely missed their target market.
Yeah, they kind of missed on that one. But my point is this can be very powerful for people. But the second the government starts trying to direct it, limit it, restrict it, regulate it, it kind of becomes a little useless.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's the fear with it, because this has helped my business so much. It's helped my all of the different content areas, from content for clients that we work with them to develop their voice. The last thing that we want is now another government entity to come in and tell us and really start to take our content liberal. And that's what happens with these big entities. They become more and more liberal. And you can say people are maybe right. Oh, there's all kinds of conservative ones. That's fine. So what I just don't want is I don't want a government entity coming in. And this, because of my templates, I was able to put out a very good content in the style and tone that I want. But most people don't know how. They'll write in something like this: what is AI? So AI will start to spit out very government approved content.
And more so, the more government gets involved.
Yeah.
And so just look at it like this. Government categorically doesn't produce value. It's parasitic in nature. It has to have a healthy host in order to survive, right?
So eventually it kills the host.
And so like I don't know where I heard this, but essentially a living being or a host will put up with a parasite until it becomes deadly, right? And then you start acting. So at what point you have to have some government, like anarchy and chaos can't reign supreme,
just look at those guys who wanted to defund police. They're all wondering what happened to their cities.
Yeah, I mean, then you go into chaos, which goes into tribalism, which goes into, essentially when the Roman Empire fell and you had 1,500 different dukes and so forth ruling. So like that's not good either. But at what point does the parasite kill the host? And it feels like we're kind of playing around with that right
We
now.
are approaching the parasite killing the host, and I think that's what is so scary. That every year there's more regulation. There's hundreds of thousands of regulations, and you don't even know what you're.
If you stack the regulations on single side paper, it would be, I don't know, 130 feet tall. I mean, really, it really would. And every one of us have to assume, the government assumes we know all of those and know when we're doing something wrong. But it's 180,000 pages.
Yeah.
Give me a break.
And there's no way to be able to do it. It's getting a parking ticket in a place that you didn't know you couldn't park. It is just
I got one of those in Oregon.
Yeah, I got one of those in Utah. But I think what it comes down to is that I believe there needs to be some regulation, but oftentimes the market is one of the best regulators. I believe in regulations. I believe in rules, but it sure feels that we are feeling the weight and the suppression and just the breaking point of everything being over regulated.
Yeah, the burden's starting to feel a little bit heavy on everybody. And just keep in mind too, people on the left say, well, it's my guys who are in power, so I can put up with it more. That is true. But we're all in the same ship. You don't get a liberal discount at the grocery store. Show me your Democratic card, I'll give you 20%. It doesn't work that way. When government doesn't do its job and do it well, we all suffer. It doesn't matter who you voted for.
True. Well, with that, I would say write your congressperson, but I don't think he or she will listen. And so,
actually, if you send an actual letter with a stamp, they might be so surprised that they might actually read it.
Well, if you're willing to pay their $100 or their $500 a steak meal, maybe you may be able to get in their ear. But I really fear that this democratization of AI, which is allowing small businesses, if these guys have their way, this White House advisors really start to have their way, this Bill of Rights, oh my goodness, I thought one Bill of Rights.
It's not worth anything. Yeah. It's not worth anything.
Well, with that, we will say, be sure you subscribe. Be sure you share this with other people. I know that this is just the beginning, but to us, it's just a couple guys that love free speech and are okay being criticized by people who had different opinions. And
absolutely,
I think that's something that's being lost.
Just ask questions. Be curious. That's all I can say.
Well, goodbye until the next point of free speech or congressional missteps or I guess constitutional crisis.
There you go.
Bye-bye.